Not too bad of an experience. All in all, it was pretty easy, and I hope this video helps. Now that they're all drilled out, oh yeah. Did I fuck up any of the holes? No sir. So now that I got this all apart, I noticed something very interesting about this. So this is the clutch basket for our 1999 RM125. Every video that I've seen for other bikes, this center gear had to be pressed out of the middle of the basket. On this, the gear and the inner and outer gear are all one piece. So after I drilled the rivets out and popped the plate off, the whole thing just came off as one instead of having to, like I said, press the center gear out of this, which is really, really nice. Don't want to have to be banging on it and all that shit if I don't have to. So yeah, I thought I'd share. That's kind of an interesting side note, and I'm glad it's that way. At this point, I've got everything apart and cleaned up. Here's the gear from the old clutch basket. Brake cleaned it, got all the shavings off of it. Good to go. These are the old rubber spacers. Honestly, they look really good. But the kit came with some new ones, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. And if you're doing this, just so you can see, I've got one on there right now. The shape of these determines the orientation that these rubber pieces go in. So as you can see, it's skinny at the top, fat at the bottom. It has to go this way so that there's space in between each one, because if you do it backwards, problem. So just make sure everything is orientated correctly and we'll be good to go. So after I get these spacers in, I'll get the gear on. The kit came with screws with Loctite on it, which is nice, and a tool to screw them in. I'll get all that put together and I'll be right back. That went pretty well. Not hard, man. This stuff is pretty easy. This is what it looks like with the new basket, new Pro X, and the gear. I've got the plates soaked, clutch basket rebuilt, gear transferred, everything's clean. I've got all my pieces. I'm going to be pointing out important tips as I go through this, just so you guys can be aware of some things that you don't want to forget. So the first thing is, there's a bearing inside of here. Now, I leaned the bike over to drain some more of this oil out, and this bearing fell out, so you got to be careful about that. Make sure that's in. First thing we're going to put on is clutch basket. You just pop that right on. You gotta make sure it seats properly, because it's got to go around that bearing. Yeah, just move it around, jiggle it, and make sure it's seated good. The next thing is the washer. Not to be confused with the lock washer. This is the washer in between the clutch basket and the inner hub. So make sure that goes on. And inner hub. Alright, good. So the next piece you're going to want to make sure you have is a lock washer. You can tell this one's been used on one side. It looks okay to me. I'm going to bend up another side, and that's the whole point of this, is you put it in. Alright, and so on top of that goes the nut. So I watched a video and I thought I was watching a video on the same year bike as this. Turns out it was different, because the guy said in the video it was a 30 millimeter. This is a 1999 RM125. This nut is a 27 millimeter, just so you know. Knowing that would have saved me quite some time. As you can see, we've got the lock washer behind the nut. Nut torqued. Check your service manual. I don't want to throw out any random numbers and be wrong. You're going to bend part of this washer up, locking this nut in place, hence why it's called a lock washer. Make sure that's done right. So next I'm going to throw the plates in. I got right here, soaked automatic transmission fluid type F, which is what these plates are soaked in right now. Everything's looking good to me. Another important note is to note the direction of these grooves. See how they're facing? That's how they need to go in. Looking good to me, so I'm going to get this cap on. With this cap comes this little bearing looking thing. You need to make sure that this is seated in there properly when you put it on. The other thing we got to throw in here is the rod. I went ahead and cleaned that up. That fits good. And I got new springs with the kit. Now the screws. So there it is. All the screws are back. Clutch pack's done. It's in gear, so it's gonna be tough. Not too bad of an experience. The clutch basket transferring the gear was pretty hard. Oh, not really hard. Just had to figure out how to do it right. And I ended up just putting a pilot hole on the top of the rivet and then drilling through it. Well, I first cut it off with a Dremel, then I did the pilot hole, then I did a bigger drill bit. And that part was actually very easy. Since the inner gear didn't have to be pressed out, that made it even easier. So I appreciate that, Suzuki. So this is pretty much done. All that's left that I gotta do, clean up the clutch cover. Someone put an O-ring and gasket maker on it, and all it needs is an O-ring, which I got coming in the mail, which is what I'm waiting for. So once I get all this junk off of there, clean it up, I'll throw it back on. And got something else to show you too, but I'll show you that in the next video. Not too bad of an experience. All in all, it was pretty easy, and I hope this video helps.